The Victorian Premier is calling for the Prime Minister to extend the ADF workforce deal in private aged care. Victorian political reporter Simon Love is live from the Northern Hospital. Simon, what has Daniel Andrews had to say after National Cabinet?
Well, it comes after Saturday's National Cabinet virtual hookup, Tom. The Premier, Daniel Andrews, seems to be in discussions with New South Wales about pushing for an extension to this ADF deal, which would allow private aged care residences to have the support of the ADF, particularly as many go through COVID waves. There are some aged care facilities here in Melbourne that have proactively placed their own residents into a 7-day lockdown. And because of many COVID cases occurring, the ADF has been forced to do what they've been doing for the last number of years. Now, this came after the Premier announced he'd extend the surge workforce for Ambulance Victoria, and the ADF's deal with Ambulance Victoria ended at the end of last month, and it wasn't extended due to burnout issues that some paramedics were having. But when I asked the Premier whether the ADF would be involved with the ambulance service, he said no, but then revealed that he wanted the ADF to play a bigger role still in the aged care facilities. This was the exchange.
I think the Prime Minister left with a very clear understanding that we, certainly from Victoria's point of view, and I think others would join me, aged care's it's in difficult times now, private sector aged care, and I think it's only going to be even more challenging.
So you want to see that extended to private sector?
I certainly do, yes.
For how long?
Well, I'd have to wait and see what things are like in August, but I don't think it's appropriate for it to end in August.
Simon, what's the latest boost to the Victorian Ambulance Service, which has been pretty troubled lately?
Yeah, it certainly has. There's been 7 code reds called this year, Tom, and for now the Premier is kicking in more money and also a new rostering system to try and reduce the burnout issues that some of the ambulance service has been having. As well, there'll be an expansion to the virtual emergency department that's available in Melbourne's northern suburbs so far. So, for instance, for a patient like a young kid that has a broken arm, instead of actually calling 000 or heading off to hospital in an ambulance, the parents can actually contact this virtual emergency department service and be talked through by a qualified doctor as to what immediate pain relief that person can have before booking a time to then come into the hospital, essentially bypassing busy hospital emergency departments, getting the care that they need. This was the Premier announcing it a short time ago, and the reaction quite instantly from the Victorian opposition's deputy leader in the Liberals, David Southwick.
It's an idea that came from our nurses and ambos, our emergency department doctors. It's working well. It's playing a really important part in getting us through, and that's why we're going to double it in size. That's really important for patients, for families, for our staff. We're so grateful to them for everything they have done and will continue to do. And the best way for us to say thank you is to continue to listen to them, continue to work with them.
This is all too little too late. We're a few months out from an election and miraculously, the Premier's pulled some money out of the war chest. I mean, seriously, why hasn't this been fixed earlier?
Tom, I've got to tell you that an interesting insight into the strategy Daniel Andrews is now playing after coming back from leave. He's taking any opportunity, even if journalists don't bring up the opposition or the other side of politics, to bring them up in answers and have a whack. So it's an interesting approach that no doubt he'll use in the run-up to November the 26th, which is when the state election will be here in Victoria.